Hello, my darling souls. I am Kath Telford. Did you know you can rewrite your story? It's true. I've done it 100 times. Throughout this journey, I will share stories with you where I have dealt with trauma, loss, and insurmountable grief. How I healed myself from mental, physical, and sexual abuse. My battle with an eating disorder, low self-esteem, and chronic depression. I will also share lots of happiness and joy. Along the way, I will have some amazing guests who have inspired me and helped me become the woman I am today, all of whom have transformed their own lives. My mission with this podcast is to create a community, one where you will feel seen, heard, and above all else, loved. You are invited to reach out to me with your questions and input on what you would like to hear. With your permission, I will open your hearts and minds to the truth about life. This ride may get bumpy at times, so buckle up and let's go. Hello, my darling souls. Here we are for another episode of You Can Rewrite Your Story. And I have the gorgeous, gorgeous Claudia Compton with me today. Claudia is somebody that I've met through a mutual mentor and coach that we share and through an event that I attended earlier this year in Queensland. So I'm going to hand you over to Claudia and she can tell you all about who she is. Hello, my gorgeous.
Hi, Kat. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Thank you, listeners, for taking time out of your day. I'm excited. I feel like this is going to be such a beautiful conversation. Yeah.
Yay.
Awesome. So a little bit about me. So I'm currently living on the Gold Coast, although I'm from New South Wales. And I grew up an hour south of Newcastle. And then I spent my early adulthood in Newcastle. I'm currently working for myself, which is one of the dreams that I had as a young girl. And yeah, that was pretty much it. It's been a beautiful journey. I know we're going to go into the depths of that today.
Absolutely.
And I hope you get some nugs out of it.
Yay.
And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I work predominantly online. I do mindset, manifestation and marketing mentoring. So pretty much mindset, manifestation and business guidance, mentoring, and do hypnotherapy sometimes. And yeah, it's just such a beautiful space to be in, the amazing industry.
And you're doing incredibly well, and I'm so proud of you. Just everything's just taking off for you, and you absolutely deserve everything.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Kat. Thank you. It was so lovely meeting you at the event. I was like, oh, I clicked with you straight away. So it's honestly so beautiful being here.
No, yay. So I'm going to ask you to tell, because the name of the podcast, as you know, is You Can Rewrite Your Story. And I like my listeners to know all about how we as human beings have come from where we've come from and how we've ended up where we are and what we have to do throughout our lives to get to this point. So let's talk about your childhood. Let's find out where Claudia came from.
Great. So like I mentioned, I was born and raised on the Central Coast in New South Wales. And it was really beautiful, had a really lovely childhood. And although I didn't know at the time, but I was talking to myself so negatively and I didn't know why. And I just thought everyone spoke to themselves like that. So there was never big trauma in the family. I did gymnastics competitively. I did a lot of gymnastics. So I did like 25 to 30 hours a week on top of school as a gymnast.
Wow.
That was fucking hectic. Yeah. So fully like athlete. And I identified myself as that when I was younger. So I did that from 10 till like 15, 16. And then I coached for 5 or 6 years. So I was in that industry for a little while. And yeah, pretty much I'm the oldest of 3 younger brothers. So I'm one of 4. And that has been really, really cool transition to have. So my youngest brother, he's 11. So there's 14 years between us.
Wow. Huge.
Yeah. He just turned 12. So there's 14 years between us. So I have definitely like stepped into the mother role quite early on, which has been beautiful because like all the connections that I have with my brothers are so deep because mum obviously got to go to work and then my dad's an interstate truck driver. So he was like in and out providing for the family in that way. And then, yeah, I got into school. I did uni for 2 years and decided it wasn't for me. I actually, even before I knew about the woo-woo stuff, I knew I was like failing some courses, and I failed this course because at that time I had a very dependent relationship with substance abuse and alcohol, and I didn't know it was a problem. I was just in that kind of environment, so I didn't know I was actually had addictive tendencies to those substances because it was so accessible and it was like really widely accepted in a way as well.
University life, is it a sort of a common thing at uni?
Yeah. So I didn't see that as a problem at all at the time. And then I started to really start talking negative to myself. And I thought, oh, wow, this is what I used to do as a kid. Right. So it's like there was always drips and drabs of that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I failed some of the classes and I was going to push my degree out a year. And I thought, oh, there's a reason why this is happening.
What were you studying?
Radiation therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not loving it?
I loved it. And no, I really have been such a free spirit, Kath. I just thought even at such a young age, like I was that annoying, not annoying, but I would say persistent kid of being like, why are we here? And why is this rock floating in the fucking world? And what does this mean? And I was that annoying, like little girl, like being like, why is this? Why is this? Why is it? And my mum would be like, just because it is.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not a good enough answer. Why?
Yeah. Standard answer from a mother who's had enough. Yeah. Just
literally,
because.
just because. And so that's always, I've always had this, like, if the word is like that comes to mind is insatiable curiosity. Like I could never fully suppress that, like, oh, but why? And that's why I really love radiation therapy, because I was like, oh, why did this person have cancer and how can I help them? And what can we do here? And it was like quite like problem solving. I like that.
Yeah.
And I love humans and helping humans. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just go to uni. And then I failed some courses that were going to push me out a year. And then that's when all like the personal development started kicking off, the substance abuse and things like that.
Yeah.
And then a few years on, here I am.
Here you are. So let's go more into the substance abuse, because I think this is a really, it's a big area, and there is a lot of people out there that'll be listening who have either got kids going through it or have been through it themselves or still going through it. And I think it's really important that they know that there is another side and that we do get through this crap in our life. Can we talk to more about that?
Definitely. And as well, like, I love my mum and dad. Like, they never did anything wrong. It was just purely because I have such an addictive personality, and I've now learned that it's actually a really super powerful thing to have, although that energy was just directed in the wrong way. So it was never, ever around like how my mum parented me or my dad parented me. It was purely just like an environmental thing. And I was going through like a bit of a rebellious side. So I didn't drink too young. Like I would drink, but it would be like, you know, hush hush at a friend's house. Never did drugs until I was like out of the house. Because my mum and dad were like, you will literally be gone. Like, we will not talk to you. Like, that was a very like stern, firm boundary, and for good reason as well. Like, my mum and dad have had past, I want to say, incidences with that kind of substances, and I respected that. Although when I started to become an adult and I was like, well, no one's fucking watching over me. I can do whatever I want. I want a bit hell forever. And, you know, went a little bit rebellious. And then with that intertwining addictive personality and also avoidance, didn't know I was actually avoiding that big void that I had. Avoiding the void, that's so funny. I was avoiding the void that I had, that I was trying to fill from external things.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. I was just running from all these problems, running from those things. And my mum and dad actually didn't know until this year. Never told them until, wow, when did I tell them? I think I told them like in June or July this year.
I remember you saying it on Instagram, and I'm like, yay, you. How powerful that would have been, a conversation to have had.
It was so scary. And the only reason why I did it is because I knew it would help the relationship that I had with my mum and my dad, and also myself, and help me get through the courage of that kind of story that I had. And it was really interesting, like seeing how it unfolded. It's like, oh, it makes perfect sense. Like tiny little bits, like, oh, I'll just do a little bit here. And then since it's so accessible, just do some more. And the more the more, and then you can't even go out for a drink. Like I couldn't go out for a drink without having something on me to do it.
Yeah.
And this was all closeted, Kath. No one knew. Like I am really good at holding my shit together on the outside. And now I've learned that that can get you some places, but it won't get you the whole thing.
No, the cracks start appearing, don't they?
Yes.
And it starts leaking out, as we know. Yeah.
Leaking out. So yeah, it got to a point, Kath, where I was like coming home straight away from work, drinking and smoking and doing all these things, and like just couldn't be alone. Like I couldn't be alone because like head noise was so hectic. And then if I ran out of any kind of like external substances, whether that be drugs or alcohol, I'd be like, oh my God, I have to go do something. Like I would stop at the bottle. I would always make sure that my alcohol fridge was there, and you know, all these different things. Like it was such an interesting journey because again, it was confusing to me being like, why am I like this?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, there was no big quote unquote trauma, and my mum and dad did a really great job at parenting. So I'm like, I was even confused as to why these addictive behaviors were coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like circling back to what you mentioned before with like having kids that go through this kind of stuff. The one thing I would say is like, for me being the child on the other end of it is like, sometimes it actually has nothing to do with you. Because in my experience, it had nothing to do with my parents.
Yeah.
So if you're a parent listening, I would say just maybe be open to having a conversation of just like however it will go, because they're probably scared about talking to you about it, and they're probably nervous about the reaction. And coming from the other side, I could have never, ever, ever guessed my mum's reaction. Like her reaction was just the most beautiful, calming, open, vulnerable ever, like most healing thing I have ever experienced. And I was like, oh, it was such a relief. And our relationship so much better. Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's right. You've just brought up tears for me, knowing, you know, what I lived through with my child, who's not such a fucking kid anymore, but I know those conversations, and when I've had them with him over the years, you know, and he says to me, Mum, it's nothing you did. Like, you were the most amazing mum and you were always there. And so to hear that from you, it just confirms to me that is, you know, and it is a case. But, you know, we talked before, and last episode I talked about belief systems and how it doesn't really matter how amazing our childhoods are. The slightest misspoken word or slightest event that can seem so insignificant to the outside eye can create these behaviors in us, and this story that we make up about ourselves. Can you think of an event that might have triggered this with you?
Yeah. I literally just had the vision just then. So like I mentioned before, like my dad's an interstate truck driver, and I realized that there was like a not good enough abandonment issue wound. So I would not compete. Well, I did compete as a gymnast for love and approval. And I didn't know that was a thing back then. And then, you know, when I dropped out of uni, and then I was just like, well, fuck, I don't even know what the point of life is. I'm just going to do drugs. I'm just going to drink. And then that got me to a place where I was like incredibly, I want to say anxious and depressed. And I was like on medication for it.
Yeah.
And then I had a lot of different suicidal ideations and incidents that happened down that avenue as well. And it comes back to why.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, but why? Like I mentioned before. And then
why, Mum?
Yeah. And then I remember one time my dad was leaving for work, and I've done like timeline therapy on it before as well. Like a few times. It's a really big core memory that I had. I remember because my dad would come and go, but I didn't know because he was just a truck driver. And now I know that. But from 0 to 7, that's when we take all those like beliefs, behaviors, and actions for gospel 100%.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit. Right. So I remember seeing my dad, I can still see it. He shut the door and he walked out, and I was fucking falling, Kath, because I didn't know when he was coming back.
Yeah.
And like, because no one would tell me when dad would come back. And I was a kid. I was like 4 or 5 years old. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't have a phone. I didn't know how to use a phone. Like, I just knew like what we were doing and if I had school on and stuff.
Yeah.
And little did I know that he was just going out to work to provide for his family. But in that moment, I was like, oh, he doesn't love me and I don't know when he's coming back and I have to, you know, make sure he stays around by like, you know, being good girl or, you know, doing really well. So then he gives me attention because I don't want to feel abandoned like I did in that experience.
Wow.
And he was just going to work.
Yeah.
But my little brain took that and was like, oh my God, he's never coming back. Like, what if he dies? Like, I'm never going to see him again.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It was, yeah, really funny that you bring that up, actually.
Well, it's sort of, and I mentioned it in the last episode, how at 4 years of age, I had a similar situation with my brother running away from home, and he was 12 years older than me. And my mum went into basically emotional withdrawal. So I'd not only lost my brother, like, because I didn't know where the fuck he was. One minute he was there and everything was rosy and he was throwing me up in the air and I was, you know, his best thing, to he was gone and mum was catatonic and, you know, and as I said in last week's episode, nobody thinks to pick up that 4-year-old and say, it's okay, this is what's going on, explain it to them. It's just, and that sticks with us. That core wound really sticks with us, and we make this story up around it that sticks with us for our life until we wake up one day and go, fuck, was that all about? What a crock of shit. But it's been a journey for you. So like you've had to work on all of that to get to where you are.
Literally. And that also ties into, you know, the substance abuse and alcoholism and stuff like that, is because if anyone is listening and that is a parent and has had kids go through it, or maybe is curious if their kid is currently going through that, it's like, one, it's never personal. Like, it's never personal. And two, like, it's actually part of their journey, because like I now know if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be able to help my clients through that.
Yeah.
So it's actually beneficial, even though it might not look beneficial or be beneficial to the body, because like that was fuck time for my body.
Yeah. And it doesn't go away easily. It takes us a while to get these things out of our bodies.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's an amazing story. So now radiation, got out of uni. What was your first aha moment that you went, mate, I've got to change my lifestyle. I've got to find something that's bigger and better than me. And how did you get to that point? Let's talk through that.
Oh, okay. I'm like getting nervous now because I've actually never shared it before. And I'm like, why not? Courage codes. So thank you for bringing that up, Kath. I'm excited. So I actually went to there's two experiences where I was in the car and I had a fight with my housemate one night, and I had a partner at the time and he's beautiful. So amazing. And he was definitely there to like help me through this kind of period. So I was very depressed, super anxious, always on drugs. And like no one knew, but I was a party friend, if that makes sense. Like they didn't actually know what was happening under the surface and how bad it actually was.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize how bad it was. I just thought it was withdrawals, but it was like, no, this is like actually the loop of addiction. It's like actually got a hold of you, Claudia. So when I was coming down one afternoon, I remember I had a fight with my housemate at the time. And yeah, I went out to this cliff and I was like calling my partner at the time. I was like crying. I was like, I can't do this, can't do this. Like, what the fuck is my life? Like, I was in like the head noise in that time of my life was insane. Like, I was like, what is happening? And then I remember my mum saying, like, you've never been through any trauma. Like, you shouldn't think that way or you shouldn't feel that way. But like, little does she know, like we know the mind takes things for gospel and everything personally, although it's not been a big trauma. There's like micro traumas along the way.
Yeah.
I was able to then meet myself with that and, you know, love that part of me. And anyway, so I was calling him and I was like, fuck, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know what I'm meant to do. And he's like, you need to change your screensaver to your brother's, because like, that's what's going to keep you here. And it did, it worked. Like, it kept me there another day. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then a few months on, like, we broke up and all that kind of stuff, whatever. Appreciate him, and it was actually quite mutual. Anyways, I went on a little retreat in Bali in 2019, and this was like the start of like my journey, because I never did a retreat, but I knew I had to go to yoga. I went to yoga because everyone was talking me about the benefits and mindfulness, and I was seeing a psychologist, so I was like, fuck it, why not? You know, I was like doing yoga at like 6 a.m. And then that day by like 1 p.m. I'd be drunk on red wine on a random day off on a Wednesday. It didn't work, but I was doing what I could
You're
at the
going
time.
through the motions. You were going through
I
the
was
motions.
like, I was actively trying to find something, but I was still like allowing myself to have those behaviors because I don't know. I guess that's what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I met this guy and I went to Bali and he had this big retreat and it was amazing. Then we did this breathwork journey. That was my first introduction to like holotropic breathwork, which is like a very active work and it can release DMT in your mind and you can see all these things. Anyways, so this big vision came through and it was like the most, and I've never done any proper personal development. Like I've listened to, I maybe read like 1 or 2 self-help books and some Eric Thomas and Les Brown, although with my gymnastics mind, I knew that there was things there that, if I wanted to get something, I could work towards it, but I still didn't know what this head noise was. Anyway, so I was at this retreat, insane process and incredible breakthrough. I actually seen myself. It was crazy. So I was standing at that same cliff that I was just telling you about. And I was standing there and I was like, I was going to jump and I was like about to jump, but then myself pushed me off. So it was like, yeah, so I pushed myself off the cliff. And then what happened, Kath, is I actually seen my funeral of what happened when, or if I decided to take that decision, because it was actually me who was telling me to jump off.
Yeah.
No one else.
Wow.
Right. So I did that. And then what happened was I then seen my funeral and I seen my mum, I seen how that affected my family and again like it's like super raw.
Yeah.
Even though it happened like 2019, I can still remember it. So that was the big holy fuck, I need to make a decision and change this.
Yeah.
Seeing my family like the funeral and then blaming themselves and I was like, oh, this is not it. Like I'm still here. And I was at the funeral and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I wish I didn't do that. Like, I love you guys. You didn't do anything wrong from that one decision that I made. And then, anyway, I actually ended up coming back to life in this process. And I remember feeling so much love and being like, I'm so sorry. I will never do that. Like, I love them too much. Like, I'll be here for you guys. Like, I won't take that decision. And then I actually also walked up the cliff with 3 younger girls. Like it cut out and it was like, oh, this is mummy's favorite spot.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
God, I'm going to be an auntie.
I know. So I was like, holy shit. So that was like, I was like, cool. I don't know what the fuck that was. And then anyways, from there, I just followed the whispers. Like I met a guy who was talking about, everyone was talking about the power of now. And I met a guy randomly at the beach, stranger.
Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I popped it down. He popped it down and I was like, oh my God. Everyone for like a month was talking about that book. So that was our point of conversation. We had a conversation with 3 hours, random guy, stranger at the beach. And I was like, what the fuck? He's like, you're going to like my friend Jill. Anyways, so that's when the coaching started. And then the coaching led to a certification led to another certification. And then now I'm running a business in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've done NLP too. So tell everybody about NLP because I'm hearing it all over the ship at the moment. And I haven't done enough research into it to understand it from, what it does for you, what the works are around it.
Yeah, for sure. So I did it with 2 different companies, one based in Sydney, which is my first mentor, Gillian Ogle, who ended up, and I didn't even know this, Kath, she worked with Dr. Joe Dispenza.
No, she did not.
And she just lived in Newcastle.
Oh my God.
She was my first mentor. I was like, holy fuck. Like, yeah, now I'm realizing like, whoa, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And I didn't even know at the time. I was like, oh, I don't even know. Like, I didn't even meditate. And he's like,
so is this the Jill that the bloke was talking to you about?
Yes. And that was my first mentor.
What a synchronistic moment that was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually remembered to message her. I'm going to message her after this. And because I'm actually going back to Newcastle, I'd love to catch up with her. I'm actually like moving to Newcastle.
Are you going back?
Yeah, moving to Newcastle at the end of this month. out of nowhere.
WTF, we've got to catch up.
I know.
Because you just got your dream apartment and now you're going back.
Yeah, well, my partner lives down there, and I knew this apartment was going to just be like an interim thing. And it's cool because I was able to itch to scratch, manifested it. It's been really fun to have a sauna and a pool, and it's been really fun, and I'm enjoying it. Although, like, I know there's things, like, I feel like your audience will know about spirit guides. So I said to my spirit guides, I was like, am I meant to go to Newcastle? Because it kept tinging and tinging and tinging. And I went on a little nature walk with my friend the other day, and we did this cool spiritual process. My spirit guide came in, a new one, and she said, you need to move back to Newcastle.
What's your new one's name? Because I'm going to just give you a heads up, people. Claudia has a spirit guide named Jake, who's fucking amazing, and I love Jake, and I've never met Jake, but I told you this show was going to get woo-woo, and now we're going woo-woo. We've sidetracked off NLP. Tell me about your new spirit guide.
That's right. We'll go back to
that one.
My spirit guide led me to NLP. So
right.
Yeah. So my friend introduced me to Jake a few years ago, but I never spoke to him. And I actually had, so I met him after I put my name down for my first course. And she's like, you should meet your spirit guide. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And this was like 2 years ago or something like that. And she's like, oh, he's so funny. His name's Jake. And he's laughing because he introduced you to NLP. So of course he comes up now.
Of course he comes up now.
Yeah, of course he comes up now. So he's the best. I love him so much. So that's something that I've been able to really lean into, is like asking for guidance external to myself or the people or my mentors around me. So that's why I want to go back to Newcastle, because I actually said to them, I'm like, all right, guys, you know what I'm doing. You've given me the house, you've given me, the business, the lifestyle, the partner, the friends, the family, the mentors. Like, you guys have always got it going on. Yeah. So why the fuck am I going to make a decision when I can just ask you guys if that's what you think I should do? Like, I literally, anything that keeps me like, oh, should I just like go, you know what? I don't actually give a fuck. I want you guys to show me, because you've always delivered.
Yeah. So much stress off, doesn't it? Guys, I'm just giving you this one. I've always said since I was little, I've always like, I'm giving it up to you, God. I just can't in this moment. You just deal with it, please. So
I'm like,
I've done it.
I trust, and it's a process of trusting. Anyway, so I said, all right, if I'm meant to move back, show me a sunflower, like in the next 24 hours. I've seen 6 of them.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, moving back. So I like to say, rather than moving back, because I'm not moving.
I was going to say, back's a big word. I've thought that before when I said it. No, you're not moving back, you're moving forward.
I'm moving forward to a different environment, for familiar environment, but different self, And so to answer your question around NLP, that's what we just did. So it's reframing the language of the mind. So what NLP stands for is neuro-linguistic programming. Yep. So neuro meaning the mind, linguistic meaning the language, and the programs that it runs, like beliefs, behaviors, actions, processes, habits, things like that. So it's all an unconscious mindset language modality that will help you sift and sort through whatever, I guess, limiting beliefs or emotions or anything that's pent up in your mind, because we keep all the things, like we mentioned before, like memories and emotions stored in different events, and that's how we view our life. So NLP is like a way of, like, there's lots of processes like timeline therapy, which I spoke about before, and pretty much going back in the timeline, going through the experience, re-experiencing the experience to then give yourself a better opportunity to integrate those resources. Yeah. So, and it's also just very basic, language changing. Like, there's so much, I shouldn't say basic. I feel like I know NLP has changed my life, because if we create a reality from our mind and we're changing the language through the use of NLP by being specific with our language, it's going to help change our experience. Yeah. So that's NLP in a nutshell.
That's very beautiful. So actually, speaking about the language thing, we did, Claude and I did a class last night. Claudia's a coach also in the group that I'm in currently. And we were doing a session on how we have the words like I need to do, I must do, I ought to do, and how this creates this low vibration in us, because it becomes like a pressure point on us. Whereas if we change that to you know, I love to get up in the morning. I love to go to the gym. I love to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Changing our words is so important, and it raises our vibration and opens us up to letting in more of what we're talking about as far as our guides go, our you know, our spirit team, and we've all got a spirit team. And this is probably, some of you are going to click off today and go, what the fuck is she talking about? But this is this is what brought me to my podcast, people. This didn't just happen overnight. This took a lot of work for me to get in front of a camera and bang on to you for hours on a microphone. So it's very important, this self-talk that we have for ourselves. So I'm going to now ask Claudia to tell me more about what you're doing currently. What is your role in the world? What is your mission in this world? What are you doing? How do people find you? Give us all the info.
Awesome. So my mission is to elevate the collective consciousness of the fifth dimension and allow the people to have the resources, tools, and experiences to go within to remember their gifts and abilities. So that's why I called my podcast Return and Remember, because the more I'm learning and the more we grow, it's not about externally learning. It's about unlearning and remembering who we are at our innate core and abilities. Like, I love helping people, one, monetize their genius and passion. Like, that is something that I really love doing. And I also love helping people break through limiting beliefs like addiction patterns, and also like not good enough, not worthy, self-belief, confidence. Because when we're able to recognize that our mind creates everything and we can control and shape our mind, then we're able to create a different life. So I love seeing the ripple effects. And it's like, I'm just looking at my clients' names. Like, I'm just so proud of all the clients. And I know, like, in this kind of work, it's actually not just the clients I'm helping, it's the people that they get to impact, right? Like, for example, there's a beautiful client of mine, and we actually did uni together, and we had a call yesterday, and she's like, Claudia, you have changed so much. I was like, likewise, like I never thought we would coach together. Like, we weren't even that close at uni, but it's interesting with the little things that the language can do, and the little things that investing in yourself can do, and getting out of your comfort zone can do. Is she works as an RT, so radiation therapist. I was like, how are you going? And she's like, good. I was like, I want you to start saying fabulous or amazing.
Claudia taught me this one the other week. Fabulous and amazing, because my response to everything, I'm okay, I'm all right, whatever. Fabulous and amazing.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And she now goes to work and she tells the people, how are you going? And she goes, I'm fabulous. And imagine, like, hearing that as a cancer patient. You'd be like, oh. And it raises the vibration of just, oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm all right. Not bad. It's like, I'm fabulous. It's like, oh, fuck yeah. So now she gets to help raise that vibration of all those beautiful clients.
Those beautiful people. And that's so important, because that's, I know through my life of working in different fields like pharmaceutical, naturopathy, being around, I've lost a lot of family members with cancer over the years and close loved ones, and nursing them. And there's nothing worse than playing small when you're around those people. So keeping your vibe low because you don't want to appear too bubbly, because that much, they've got cancer, so I better be, bullshit, mate. You go in there, you go in bouncing all over the joint. You give them as much love and as much compassion and as much joy as you possibly can. And it makes such a huge difference to their spirit and to their overall well-being, because they leave there feeling so much better about themselves. Whereas when you're playing small, you're not giving these people permission to rise above what they're going through. They're staying in that horrible space of negative.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, I just think, and I go back to a time where I was so nervous about starting my business. Like, oh, what if people judge me? Like, what if I don't get clients? Or what if it doesn't work? And, at every level, there's like a new layer to integrate 100%.
Yeah.
And connecting into your spirit guide, learning more, investing in yourself helps reframe all those little mindsets. Because I look at all the clients that I've helped over the year, and I think, fuck, I'm so grateful I did this, because, like, if I didn't say yes, then, my cancer clients wouldn't have had the ripple effect of her personal transformation.
Yep. And that's what it's about. It's like that little stone in the water, isn't it? That ripple effect.
It is. Oh, the ripple effect. And it's like, if that resonates with any listeners today, like what I like to do visually is like close down my eyes and I see myself standing in the way. So if I make it about me, I'm actually not helping anyone. And everyone that listens to this podcast, I know, would have a big heart, big mission, and want to create big impact. So what you get to do is just like literally step to the side and let your soul move forward and let your soul come through, because it's actually not about you at all. So that's what I love to help people recognize, do, and I love to lead the way for those people and become the permission.
And you do it so beautifully. And another little amazing gift that's come on board. Now, I had a reading with this beautiful woman the other week. Claudia did this reading for me, and oh my God. So I didn't realize when we first went medium, like reading, that it was a medium reading, and you pulled in two people who, like my darling dad and my beautiful friend Patsy. And guys, there is no way knowing that Claude could have known the stuff that she told me. Like I'm getting emotional now. It was the most amazing reading. So, you know, this is what happens when you start opening your heart to the world, is you can give gifts like this to the world, like she gave me the other day. And I'm so grateful to you for that, my darling. It was incredible. Stop crying now. I cry every fucking episode. I cry. I'm hopeless.
Babe, I love crying. I love crying in public too.
Yeah.
Really like music video. Very like it's very like movie scene.
Drama queen.
Yeah, I love it.
I've been called drama queen a few times in my life. So I want you now to cry my tears away. How can people find you? And now, oh no, tell me about your podcast, because you're redoing this. What's happening with your podcast?
So, as you know, if you're in this industry or know around spirituality, mindset, and things like that, there's a thing called death and rebirth. So I went through a little bit of a death a little while ago, and now I'm rebirthing out as a new version. And as I come to with like who I am, what I'm doing, or who I always was, I'm covering a new layer of that, right? So I've now decided to just press pause on the podcast until I'm going to have a few guests come through, and I'm going to have all the different things. It's just going to be like a really nice, spicy launch, and it's going to be lots of fun, and there's going to be a giveaway attached to it as well, which is exciting. So it's going to come out in the next few weeks, amongst the move, amongst the events, all the fucking crazy shit that I've got going on, Kath. Literally. Wow. Crazy, but I'm like, I love it. Like I love helping people in this way, and I'm like, cool, I'll just do this. So the podcast, it's called Return and Remember, and like you guys know, like I mentioned before, it's all about returning and remembering who you are in your core and what your gifts and abilities are at the center of you in the heart. So,
and it's really authentic, because I love, when I first started listening to it, we listened to Claude's recording in the back of a van. She's at the beach. Like there's like, I went right back to the beginning, and it was so cool to listen to, because I'm like, I was actually researching what I was going to do, and I'm like, I'm going to listen to Claudia, and I'm like laughing, going, fuck me, this is as authentic as you get. It was so, it's such a great podcast.
I remember I was so scared, Kath. I recorded my first podcast. I had one client at the time, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I always wanted to speak, and I was so nervous. I was sitting in my Honda Civic in one of the back streets in Gosford before I started a job that I did not like at the time, although it was serving a great purpose at a crystals warehouse. Right. It was crazy. And like funny that you go all the way back. I'm like, oh, I forgot they're still on there.
Hey, when I do my research, I'll do my research, babes.
You go deep.
I just loved it. It was so fun though, because it was like, you know, we do, these are big things for courage codes. We talk about courage codes a lot in our training and stuff like that, and it's it is courage codes, and it's knowing, like Claudia was saying, you've got to get out of your own way sometimes. Like I got a kick up the ass the other day from one of my mentors who I absolutely adore, and she's messaging me and she's like, what's going on? I can feel your energy, you're a bit off at the moment. And I'm like, oh, I'm not really sure that I'm there. And she was like, why didn't you message me? And I said, because I don't like bothering you. Hello, get out of my own way. I don't like bothering you. And she said, you're bothering me because you're wobbling on your path. Can you stand the fuck back up?
Oh, I love that.
And I was like, okay then. And she goes, and just message me. Like, that's what it's about. It's this, and it's a flow-on effect from, like whatever I learned from her. And then she rings me the other day with a business question. I'm not business minded, but I know when someone's treating you like a dick and when you need to tell that person to pull up. Which is why I do empowerment coaching, because I'm all about kicking people up the arse. But like, she rang me with a business question. I'm like, no, don't you dare give up your time and service to this person that's messing you around and rah, 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 rah. So we give it back to each other, which is such an amazing thing. And it's such a great support network that we've got. And this is why we're sharing it with the world. So everybody out there can find out that these supplies, these services and supports are out there, that there are people like us that have got your back and want to prop you up and help you on your path to a better life and a happier life.
Yeah, definitely. And it's possible too. Like, I never thought it was possible to either one, get out of that addiction cycle, two, actually love myself, and three, stop the negative, and four, actually run a business that's successful.
And you're kicking ass, babes. You're kicking ass.
Crazy. So it's like, you just need to start. That's pretty much it.
Just
start.
That's it. Now, is there anything? So what I finished with Alyssa on my first interview with her, episode 3, we did a little task for the listeners, like something that the listeners can take away with themselves and maybe a little bit of insight. So with Alyssa, we did like she gave them the wheel of life to work on, where they were sitting emotionally and stuff like that. And then just a little bit of insight, a task that they can do to help themselves along. So what have you got for us?
The first thing that popped in was Ho'oponopono. So doing that.
Say again.
Ho'oponopono. Have you heard of that?
Well, I'm a Lomi Lomi practitioner. So Ho'oponopono, As I studied Lomi Lomi many years ago, and lots of Hawaiian stuff. So tell the listeners what Ho'oponopono is.
So it's a Hawaiian mantra that's anchored into like forgiveness and compassion. So it's, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Please forgive me, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry. Something.
And does that come with a tune? Can you sing that for me?
No, I don't know. I don't know that one, Kat. Sorry about that.
Google, we'll put a link on. There'll be a link in Google. We'll pop a link in the show notes so you can check out the Ho'oponopono, because I do know the Ho'oponopono and it is very powerful mantra.
Yeah. So I would say that, do that and mirror work.
Yep.
So do that to yourself, looking in your left eye. Mirror work really helped me. And I would just say, what else do I want to say? Abraham Hicks.
God, I love him. I've been every day since you've said it to me, got it on, autoplay on YouTube, listening all day. Love it.
All day. That is the first thing that really opened my mind, because that was when my first mentor, Jill, said, oh, you should listen to Abraham Hicks. I remember the first few times I listened, I was like, what the fuck are they actually saying? But if you're new to it, I'm like, what the fuck's vibration? Da, da, da. Yeah. Once you start listening to it, like, give yourself a good crack at listening it. Don't just listen to one and then go, oh, it's not for me. It's like, this stuff is incredible. It will fucking change your life. So Ho'oponopono and also Abraham Hicks.
Abraham Hicks. Now I'm going to ask you for a bit of practical advice for anybody going through addiction, battling addiction at the moment. What can you give them? What words of wisdom can you give them?
Oh, yeah, you'll get through it. If you want to, if you desire to, and if you love to, get through it, right? Yeah. It's possible to get out of it, because I know when I was going through it, I never thought I would ever be able to live without that kind of substance.
Yeah.
And what you get to do on this journey is resource yourself and change your environment. There's no way that I ever thought I would ever have and the key point for my path addiction as well is because I had the identity of a party girl. So I had all my friends were party people. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to lose all my friends. And I didn't lose those friends. They're still there. They are just in that kind of mentality of what I wanted to release and start new with. So what you get to do is it might feel a bit, oh, I'm going to be alone. Like, I don't want to do this alone anymore. Go to networking events, go to community events, go to catch up, breathworks on the beach. Like, there's so many around. Go on Facebook. Like, literally, social media is one of the most biggest things that I wish I knew that I could have leveraged back then to actually not feel alone.
Yeah.
And start a conversation with someone that's been through something similar and has come out the other side of it.
Yeah.
Like, don't have conversations with people that are going through it because they're still going through it. So resource yourself with someone that's not been through, that has been through it, and come out the other side. And yeah, there's got to be so many cool people that you meet on the other side of that.
Yeah, and you're not alone. And there's no, you know, the shame around addiction and the shit that we do when we're, you know, knee deep in that lifestyle. You know, mine was drinking and God knows what else back in the day. But the shame that you have on the other side of it, the people that you feel you've hurt or let down and everything, get over it. Get over it. You're the only one that's feeling that. And if people aren't going to let go of that and make you feel bad for having a rough patch in your life, then you don't want to be around those people in no way.
Yeah, it's just, you'll be able to expand your mind with how many people are actually there. It's just because you're in that current experience. Once you pop out of that, you'll go, holy shit, there's so many people out there that are actually doing things beneficial for them. And it's 1% every day. Like, and my 1%, Kath, started by not drinking so much.
Yeah.
Or not drinking to blackout. Like, that's where I was starting from. Or not smoking so much.
Yeah.
Or not doing so many drugs. Like, I'd only limit to 3 in one night, not 5. Like, that's where I was starting
put
from.
our bodies through. How are we still kicking? Honestly, I think back and go, how am I still alive sometimes? Can you?
So just start and direct that energy in a way that's going to help you feel good. So what I started to do was just start working on my mindset, and I started doing coaching stuff with my mentor. For the first 3 months I was with my mentor, I was still on the drugs heavily.
Yeah.
And she was like, what are you fucking doing? And I couldn't stop, but I needed her. I couldn't stop at that time, although I needed her to like show me another way. So change your environment and see other people that have been through what you've gone through and like model their behavior. Like, what do they do? What habits do they have?
Yeah.
How would they speak to themselves? Like, social media is a powerful tool, so utilize it to your advantage.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh my God. Thank you so much for today, my beautiful Claudia. I love you so much. And you will find Claudia. Tell us how to find you, and we'll also pop it in the show notes. So what are you on Insta?
My name is just Claudia Compton on Instagram and TikTok, and also Return and Remember on Apple and Spotify.
Yay. And we'll pop the links in the show notes, guys, so you've got those. I'm going to say goodbye to our gorgeous Claudia, and then I'm introducing, I've got beautiful Penny on next week.
It's going to be amazing.
Very exciting. Our Penny's amazing. So thank you, my sweet, and I will see you. I'll see you in the group chat.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for having me, guys. It's been amazing to chat with you. I hope
you're welcome.
Out of it.
I love you so much. Bye, my darling. I hope everybody enjoyed that wonderful interview with Claudia Compton. She's an amazing human being, and I'm so grateful to her for coming on and having a chat with me and sharing her story with us all. So next week I have beautiful Penny, as I mentioned, with Claudia, and I'm just going to quickly read you a little bit about Penny Klein Moffat. Penny is a psychic medium and an NLP practitioner, here to share her journey of transforming her life through spiritual connection and NLP. She is an incredible human being with a wonderful story, and she lives her life led by source energy and is passionate about helping others. So the more of these guests that I have on, the more insight that gives to all of you who are listening into the trials and tribulations that we all have in life, and helps you to understand that you're not alone, and that there are people like us in the world who actually give a shit. We do. We love you, and we want the best for everybody, and we will continue to share our light and love with all of you and help you get through whatever you're going through, and help lead you to somewhere better and happier. So I love you all. As always, thank you again for joining me on another episode of You Can Rewrite Your Story. I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. To get in touch with me regarding any of my episodes, you will find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Looking forward to sharing more of these with you. I love you. Bye.